approved it to you by email, but I don't know if he, whatever. I wasn't going to approve it because I wasn't there. I mean, I wasn't there previous.
Those ones are fine. Yeah, we're all set from 9:29. So if we can approve 10:27 today, then we'll be all caught up. I have to send them into the town. So each meeting, just FYI, Barry, before we schedule a meeting, it has to be noticed with the town so they can put it on the website so that any, member of the public can either attend in person or attend via Zoom.
Okay.
And then afterwards, after I get the minutes approved, then I have to send them to the town and then they post them. So if people were really interested, they could go and access them. Right. Since we've been meeting via Zoom, I also send a copy of the recording to the town. I mean, it's probably not necessary, but we have it, we might as well. I asked the town, Christina Battaglia, if we needed to, and she was like, can't hurt. So FYI, so I don't know if you guys had a chance to look them over, the ones from last time.
Oh, but that was what you were sending. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those were the ones from the last meeting. Did you have it? I only sent it this afternoon, so I don't know if you guys want to just take a few minutes and eyeball them, or.
Yeah, I took a quick look through, Diana. It looked fine to me.
Okay, I'm with Melissa.
Okay, so minutes are approved. Okay, it's usually just to make sure I didn't forget anything. So that's what Rick usually does, is he just looks it over and then, like, I don't know, I say 50% of the time he'll shoot me just like a one-line email. He's like, make sure you add in this or whatever else. So.
Okay, so he used to used to take his own notes and pay attention. Okay.
Or just maybe from his own memory. I don't know, but just when I would circulate them via email, he would use, like, I would say about half the time.
Okay, but that was a long meeting last time. That was a long. Okay.
Pretty typical though, in terms of the length of the meetings.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so item number 2, election of officers. So I guess, I guess, Diana, I don't recall, but when you came on as secretary, I guess, somebody makes a motion, somebody else seconds it. I know there's only 3 of us, so I guess we can kind of take turns doing that too.
I make a motion to make Melissa the chair and Barry the treasurer.
Oh, okay. Well, I can second that. Well, we're seconding ourselves.
Yeah, I think we have to do it individually, actually, Diana, not to be silly about it, but like, because we can't second ourselves.
All right, I make a motion to make Melissa the chair.
I second that.
Okay. I make a motion to make Barry the treasurer.
I second that.
Okay,
Diana.
all set.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Do we have to make a memo to keep you as the secretary, or do you?
No, I think 30.
You're stuck with me.
You're good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see.
Item
Rob.
number 3 was the discussion of tiers.
Yeah, I just need to know from Rob if I can share my screen. Can you? Oh yeah, I can. Never mind. Hang on one sec. I just want to open up. I put this together ages ago. Tier overview. Okay. Open this.
Well, whoever set up the meeting can share the screen.
Yeah, I can. Hold on one sec. Okay. All right, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so on here you should see a Excel spreadsheet. Do you see that?
It's not opened up yet, Diana. We just see your folder.
Oh.
You gotta click it.
Okay, do you see it now?
No.
Not yet, no.
Your screen sharing.
You might have shared the wrong window.
Okay. Okay, hang on.
Because my mouse still moves, it shouldn't move when you share it.
Okay, hang on one sec.
What's on the spreadsheet?
Hang on one sec. It is the tier overview.
I don't know what that in.
Okay, are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not the full screen, but
Okay.
yeah, there you go. Now we can see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So for your benefit, Barry, it's kind of old news to Melissa, but the way that the Homex is run in accordance with the MOU, there are 9 tiers, and I put them in column E for your benefit, just because Nuno usually puts these at the end of the report that he provides to us.
Okay.
But he doesn't put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and I found it like the way my mind works is it like was easier to look at it this way.
Okay.
So tier 1, just like really high level, is town employees or volunteer fire department members, and they have to have been in that role for at least 2 years. So first one is volunteers. Second one is full-time employee of the town or the school district, kind of like community employees. Tier 3 is people over 62 years of age, and basically like long timers in the community. Then tier 4 is part-time employees. Tier 5 is current residents, so it's people who are just like living in the community without any like sort of special connection. Tier 6 is members of the family of current residents. Tier 7 is employees of companies located in the town. And tier 8 is residents of Westchester County, so people that don't like live in Westchester but not in our community. And then lastly, all other persons.
Okay.
So and then section 8 is 27%. So that's not broken out separately because some section 8 members may be tier 3, they may be tier 8, like that's sort of like broken out across all those different buckets.
Okay.
Yep. So right now, it says in the MOU with the town, there's language in there that talks about how many section 8 housing choice voucher holders there can be at the Homex. And I'll just read you the sentence that's relevant because
No, I know you can read it. You sent it out. I read it.
yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah. So, Sabrina and I looked at it together and she was like not totally sure. And like, we were both like, we think it means, one thing, but I sent it to the town lawyer, Mr. Walker.
Mhm.
And so basically section 5 says, amend the third sentence to read, in addition, notwithstanding the selection criteria set forth in Schedule A, tenant agrees it will cooperate with the Town of Marinec Public Housing Agency, which administers Title VII Section 8 housing certificates in providing for occupancy of, and will cause to be rented no less than 25% of the units to individuals and families eligible for Section 8 certificate. So when Sabrina and I looked at it, we thought that meant a minimum of 25% because it says will cause to be rented no less than 25%.
What it sounds like to me too, Diane.
Yeah, that was our understanding of it, but we felt like, me in particular, I was like, I kind of want to be like 100% sure because like this is like sort of important. So that's like all the background context on that. There's, so I just wanted to like draw your attention to the fact that if you add up tiers 7, 8, and 9, you get like almost 40% of the apartments. And that's basically just like in my opinion, that's like anyone. I mean, they happen to be from Westchester, but like, if 40% of our complex is just whatever people, you know, I would propose, like, and I talked to Nuno about this sort of like offline. And I mean, I think that we could potentially do a better job at meeting the needs of the community by, you know, increasing the amount of folks who have housing choice vouchers within the complex, and then potentially like increasing tier 1 or tier 2, because, you know, tier 1 is volunteer firefighters and tier 2 is full-time employees of the town. And like, that was sort of the intent of the hummocks was, you know, to accommodate both housing choice voucher holders and kind of like community workforce. And so I just, you know, I'm not sure that we're really achieving that at this time. I mean, so like, I just wanted to raise that as, you know, like an issue. And there's nothing really like, there's no cap on, you know, it's not like, oh, we already have 5 firefighters, we can't have any more. So if there's a vacancy, you know, Nuno will always try to fill it with someone from tier 1 or tier 2. But oftentimes that's not a possibility, you know, like when there's a vacancy, there just might not be someone from that list that's looking. So that's something that he can, you know, try to do at the moment, but something that we could, you know, I think easily do is right now, the way that he's operating is as if there's a cap on Section 8 housing choice members at 25%. So he's not going above that. So there are people who have housing choice vouchers who would love to live in the hummocks, but they're not able to get in because he's not accepting people with housing choice vouchers.
Can I hate to say, and too, Diana, you know, I would be careful about the way I'm saying this, but I believe that's illegal. I think we have source of income discrimination, like laws in New York now, where that's not, you're not allowed to discriminate on source of income. So if people qualify in other ways, you know, on this list, then I don't think we can turn them away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then maybe that's just, you know, my not understanding this properly, but like, and, you know, so I'm glad we're looking into this, but like, I can tell you that I had a friend of a friend reach out to me, and she has Section 8 housing choice voucher. And, you know, she said, I'm interested in the hummocks. And I was like, oh, great. Because there's 2, this was the summer when there was 2 apartments available. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to Nuno and I said, this is a friend of a friend, you know, she's applying. And he said, you know, we've already reached the threshold for, like, yeah, I can forward you the email, but like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, if I could, I'm trying, for some reason, I can't get back to my, oh, there it is. I was, see if I can drop it in the chat, just okay. a link, because it's fairly recent legislation, but you can't do that anymore.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see if I can find a link real quick.
Oh, but who holds the list of applications?
The Grammaton.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, well maybe maybe that should be supervised by somebody else. Because if somebody if there's an empty apartment, I think the priority should be go to, you know, tier 1 and tier 2 first. And then, you know, if there's no workers at the town or one of those people, then you can go to the Section 8. That's how I would look at it. I don't think that that's just, you know, I just think that's a priority. It was built for, number one, for the workers of the town. And then for those who are Section 8, appropriate Section 8 people.
What does that mean by appropriate?
Well, you know, that they're whatever, that they have the right amount of kids, and it's a 2-bedroom, and it's
the right size for their needs, you mean?
Right, and that they want to be in a Marinec, and that's just appropriate that way.
So I just put in the chat, just for you guys, the link to New York State Attorney General information on source of income discrimination.
Okay.
So that's important, I think, for us for this conversation.
So I guess,
I mean, it might be that if it's an empty apartment, that maybe at our city hall, that they put up a sign saying there's an empty apartment now.
Yeah, he has a mailing list. So Barry, he has, like, when there's a vacancy, he has access to a mailing list that includes all of the volunteer firefighters and
Okay.
town employees and school districts. So that, you know, I guess just to kind of clarify this conversation, I think we all agree we want to prioritize tier 1 and tier 2. And as far as I can tell, that is what Nuno does. The only thing that I'm talking about at this time is right now, Ramerton is acting as if there's a 25% cap on, you know, housing choice voucher, because that's literally what happened to this woman, Natalie Fagan, who's like a friend of a friend. She applied, and then I followed up, and he was like, we don't have any more spots for Section 8. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't work that way. That's
Okay.
illegal. Yeah.
Okay, so what are next steps on, like, how, I don't like.
No,
what-
but Melissa, let's say
Yeah.
you get a teacher or a fireman.
Yeah.
I mean, the choice is a teacher or fireman or a Section 8 person.
Well, sure. Then you go to the tiers, but I think what the question
That's
the
not
way
it.
I see it is if you don't have somebody in a, you know, one of those tiers on the list, but you do have a Section 8, and then we say, oh, we're turning you away because we have a cap of 25% on Section 8. I think that's the question, which we can't do.
No, but you always take the application.
But not just that we take the application. If we have a vacancy and we don't have someone that meets any of those tiers, and you start coming down the list, you have to take the person who's applying with the Section 8 voucher.
Oh. Okay. All right. But then you gotta prioritize there too. You might want to take a Section 8 voucher from the town first.
Sure. Well, right. You go with the tiers and you make your way down the list. And so if you are coming down the list and there's nobody that meets those tiers, then you can't say, okay, well, we still have a vacancy and we're not going to fill it with the Section 8 tenant that's applied.
Yeah. Okay. Because there are a lot of people at 31% or just Westchester residents, which surprised me, but okay. It does. Well, now they're town residents. They were Westchester residents. So, okay.
Yeah. So I think it's clear. I think the answer though, Diana, is it's a floor, not a ceiling.
Yeah, so like I'm just reading back over the email I exchanged with Nuno about this individual, and he said, I know we are at the 25% guideline for voucher holders, and in the past we try to keep the equilibrium of the property by not exceeding unless necessary. So that's really like she has a voucher. She's actually like kind of going through a bit of a housing crisis at the moment, and there was a vacancy. This was back in May. So she was like very, you know, anxious to get in, and then like, you know, I said, so is that a definite no? And he said, I would have them apply. I know we're at the 25% guideline for voucher holders.
Well, it's no at this time.
But it's only no if we don't have a vacancy, I think. If there's a vacancy, then the answer, if we don't have anybody else that qualifies at a tier ahead of that.
Yeah, right,
then,
okay, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be the person's lucky day. So, okay, well, I think that we should, as board members, we should say, as long as they're Nuno is following the tiers. Then he's fine.
But I think we definitely need to put it across to him, Diana.
Yeah.
Obviously that is not a ceiling.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking back, and then I followed up again in July because she was like, and he said, I don't know about adding another subsidy apartment as we have met the target goal, but the board can discuss adding additional apartments. So, so it was like, I kept like at it, and I got sort of like the same answer, like, anyway, so I guess.
Is there still a vacancy, do we know? It looks like there is from your spreadsheet.
This tier report is, let me check, sorry. No, that's from 9/29. I think
Okay.
in the last meeting, I'll have to double check my notes, but I think we have some vacancies coming up, but we don't, they're not, there's none at the moment. So.
Well, I think so in terms of a course of action,
Yeah.
and we can discuss, in terms of the roles, whether it's the secretary or the chair, but one of us should send an email to Nuno clarifying this point for him.
Okay.
I'm happy to do it, or if
Okay, that would be great, just because I feel like I've been back, like, I don't want to, Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
And I'll just CC you though as a secretary. I know we're supposed to be careful about having too many people on the emails, but I do think it's important that it's part of the record.
Okay. That it is a floor and we cannot discriminate.
Sure.
Okay, so just like, are you guys saying hi? Or, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa. You know that potentially 100% of the residents of the Hummocks could be Section 8 housing choice voucher holders.
Yeah.
There was, for example, like no one from tier 1 or 2, you know what I mean? Like
in theory, if nobody
Yeah.
from any of the tiers ever applied. I think this raises another important point though, Diana, and I don't know if it got dropped because of COVID or what, but we had talked about revisiting the whole application process and streamlining it, making it a more simplified application, getting it out more broadly so that we had a bigger reserve of applicants for when vacancies came, so we wouldn't be sort of scrambling to just find somebody to fill it. I think one of the things we talked about, if I recall, was that the way the applications work now, it's really long and involved to even submit an application, and it can take years to have your application come up. So you spend all this time filling out all this paperwork, which may or may not be relevant by the time your name gets called, and it may be a deterrent to people to just get their name on the list, say, so we could collect more names. So I think we might want to revisit that to come up with a streamlined like first phase application just to get on the wait list, and then and think about ways to advertise that more broadly, just so we have a bigger reserve of people to draw from when apartments become vacant.
that actually already happened. Rick redid it. Let me just find. He like revised the application to make it much shorter.
Okay, I don't remember that.
Yeah. I thought he sent me a copy of the revised. Let me see if it's in the minutes. I have it. Let me take that as a follow-up to circulate that. But yeah, so basically the like the original app or like the long form application, you can access it yourself on the Gramerton website or even through the town. But there's like a preliminary one right now that he had revised. So because that did come up, I forget when.
I can't remember. It feels like a long time ago now. It was definitely before COVID. Yeah.
Totally. So let me. Sorry, I like have my background documents. Proposal. Oh, app. Is this it? Information sheet.
Aaron. All right, I'm having a board meeting now. So I'll talk to you when it's over. I got him.
I can let me take that as a follow-up because I know
that'd be great. Yeah, no rush.
In front of my eyes, and I just can't actually find it.
No, it's fine, Diana. And I'd want to look at it again anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, no, that's. And then I guess the other thing to revisit is just how we advertise that and get it out into the community.
Okay, so Diana to circulate the shortened application, and
I think that's a good issue for Sabrina and Steve Altieri, how you advertise it. For them to bring up at their board meeting? No, the department heads. But you could put that as a follow-up. Somebody's talk to Sabrina about it.
So right now, my understanding is that Nuno has a big listserv that has town employees and school employees and like folks that are tier 1 and tier 2.
Right.
And when a vacancy becomes available, that gets emailed to all of the relevant people.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I'm happy to, I can look into
So
if you want me to, if you want me to check on that protocol, I'm happy to take that as a follow-up.
Right. Yeah, okay. So it's being done, as far as you know. So don't, I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
I only know because it's an empty apartment now, and I don't know you don't know really the status of who, it's up to Nuno. He's keeping it himself. He might want to do a vacancy report every month at the meeting. And
He does.
Oh,
he
does?
does. Yeah, he does.
It's in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, with who's applied and who he's spoken to, and whatever.
Oh, not that level of detail. But I personally would be open to that. I think after this experience this summer of, knowing that there was someone you know, like who really needed a place and really wanted to be in Marinec. Like, I just, yeah.
I think the tricky thing is now though that we're doing this over Zoom, I feel like I recall when we had conversations about individuals, we would go into private session
Okay.
to respect people's privacy. And I'm not sure how that would work over Zoom. You know, maybe actually, I don't know, Rob, if you can hear us, but I know, you know, we can sometimes do like a private meeting room on certain applications. I don't know if Zoom's one of them, but I think we need to be mindful of people, you know, people's privacy when we're talking about names of potential tenants when we're on a, you know,
No,
video like this.
I wouldn't do it on Zoom. I would do it like in his monthly report or something that's more private. Something, you know, more of a written form, like Mr. X applied and Mr. Y applied and whatever was up a candidate, you know, how many, just doesn't have to be names out loud. So, you know, and then how he finally picked the person in the end.
Yeah, no, that works, Barry. That makes sense.
Because otherwise, he could be putting his friends in. I don't know. But you know, this is more long-term ideas.
Okay.
I haven't seen one of his reports, so I mean, I've got different ideas, but maybe he's doing it already, or maybe he needs to get into a little more detail on things.
Barry, do you want me to send you like the most recent report that was circulated just for your own
Yeah, I'd like to catch up because I haven't asked Nuna for it, but I can if you could get it to me.
Yep.
I
Okay.
get an idea what's going on, and then I can, you know, have an idea. I can bring it up, or I can speak to Nuna myself. We should find out aloud, but I know when's the budget coming up and all that stuff.
That's agenda item 5 on our agenda to find out when.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm jumping ahead again.
Yeah. So I have one more thing on the tier, like potential like changes to the tier, but I think it might make more sense for me to give an update on the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition because it relates to the tiers.
I don't know.
Okay. Are we a member? Are we a part of that in good faith?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to ask about. I know Melissa's familiar with this, so but I guess for Barry's benefit, there's an informal coalition that has been formed between the Washingtonville Housing Alliance, the Community Resource Center, several faith leaders, and just concerned citizens. That is called the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition. Website is coming, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And it's basically a group of, you know, community members who are trying to advocate for new affordable housing to be built, you know, within the Marinec Larchmont community. You know, they're like, I won't spend a lot of time that like, right now, it's not really possible with the zoning in the village of Mamaroneck, which is the desired location, to be like adjacent to the rest of where, you know, folks live. So this sort of like butting heads with that. And then we have our own issues with the town where like a proposal was made and that was rejected. And we've sort of gotten like not so friendly like response when we've tried to propose developing additional affordable housing. So this coalition is trying to see what opportunities are and build a political constituency of folks who support developing a more affordable housing, and 2, try to advocate for moderate and low income community members who are vulnerable in the current circumstances to evictions. So right now there's an eviction moratorium and that came by executive order from the governor, but within our own community, CRC has over 300 people who've already received arrear notifications. So they're expecting like a giant wave of evictions on, you know, January 1st when that order is lifted. So they're advocating for this thing called a right to counsel, so that everyone who's facing eviction within New York State would be afforded an attorney, because it's just not possible for CRC to go with all of their clients to when they're meeting with the landlord. And what they're seeing is most vulnerable of the folks that they're working with are folks who are undocumented or are mixed household. So maybe like one of the children or one household member may be documented and the others may not be. So the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition is kind of like advocating on both sides, which is one, like the sort of immediate need around right to counsel and other kind of supportive services for folks who are already housed to stay that way, and then to the development of more affordable housing. So it's not a nonprofit, it's just literally a coalition. So I guess my first question is, right now, because I'm like one of the people working on the website, a bunch of organizations are putting like their logo on it, like, it says like community partners. And it's like I'm sorry, like, because I'm Jewish, I don't remember exactly which one, but it's like St. Thomas Episcopal Church. Like, so there's like faith groups, there's community organizations, Washingtonville, CRC. And so I guess my first question is, I've always said, I'm here individually, like I've participated as myself and I didn't really feel like I had the authority to participate on behalf of, the housing authority. But I guess question for you guys is, do we want like housing authority, the Marinec Housing Authority to be like a community partner to that? Is question one. And we don't have to decide tonight. I mean,
We
it's
should discuss with them. That would be a good discussion item.
That's a legal question.
It's a coalition.
Yeah, it's not a
It's illegal.
yeah.
No, but we can't represent you can't represent yourselves as a board and to something else. It's like, it's not allowed.
It's lending support to a campaign, Barry. I think before you shut it down, we should explore the conversation.
Yeah.
My opinion is, I personally think it'd be really a good thing for us to lend our support as, part of a campaign. And I think in terms of the legal question, I think we would want to, bring it to Sabrina, and we could have the town's council to say whether we, are able to lend our name as a housing authority. And if they're in support of that and they say it's okay to do, then I would certainly want to do it.
Okay. So I'm happy to take that as I guess, do you guys want me to investigate that? Like,
I think we should find out whether we can, and then we can vote on whether or not it's a good idea. I think it's sort of two parts. And Barry, do you have specific concerns beyond the legal ability to do it?
No, but what are you going to contribute?
well, like I'm like a pretty active participant in this coalition. So like I'm helping to build the website and.
Oh, that's fine, but you have no house. We have no housing to contribute to the people.
No, it's a campaign, Barry. It's about building support for the idea of affordable housing. It's not actually about building a building at this particular moment.
There's not right now, like part of the issue in both the village and the town is that there's like neither entity has like approved something. So like, the housing authority made a proposal to the town of Marinec to build senior housing right next to the Larchmont train station. And that was rejected. I think, for a variety of reasons. One of them was like the town was like, we don't even know if we own that, but
that's a good reason.
Yeah, a piece of land. But I think it was a more, secondarily, they were like, we don't want to consider this because we're going to do a comprehensive plan. So we want to look at this holistically. So it was kind of like you would need to wait a bit, which kind of made sense to me at the time because if they were doing the whole comprehensive plan. So that's sort of like on hold. And then in the village of Marinec, there has been, I'm trying to think how to describe this. There is new zoning regulation that prohibits construction of new housing over 3 units within 50 feet of like a river, and like there's like a setback, and basically like with the river that runs right behind that like gas station, through Washingtonville, it like basically precludes building affordable housing in the village, specifically where folks want it. So
yeah, but that whole area floods. What did they propose? Isn't the whole flats under an agreement now with the buildings and a whole deal, a whole proposal? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so like Washingtonville Housing Alliance is a nonprofit affordable housing developer, and they have money and they like would do a development, and like CRC really wants more construction. And so the thing right now is like that zoning, they either need like a carve out for affordable or some kind of like nuance to the rules so that it could be developed, or you know, I did ask them when I first joined, I was like, would you consider something that was not, you know, in the village? You know, would that be like, you know, meet folks' needs? So I think the top choice is certainly within the village of Mamaroneck, just because the, you know, sort of the center of gravity of the community is there, and people wanting to be like close to community members and family members. So there's not a specific site that's being proposed at the moment because of this issue with the zoning.
Can I just raise, just in general, from my experience, the whole idea behind building a coalition, I would suggest it's better to not have a site in mind, to just be talking about this issue of housing affordability and, you know, the lack of available affordable housing as a way to build general support for that idea, because once you obviously pick a site, that brings up a whole other range of issues. So I think it's a smart move to just have a coalition start to talk about these issues and bring as many supportive voices to the table as possible to figure out what the best application might actually be, and to do a lot of that, you know, community engagement groundwork ahead of time if you want to have some actual success with building something.
Yep. And shameless plug, tomorrow there's a rally for Right to Counsel in White Plains. It's like the kickoff event, 10 a.m. In White Plains. But anyway, you guys are both invited, and I'll forward the next invite if you want to participate in the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition calls. I know Melissa couldn't make it last time, but it's an hour once a month. So if you'd like to come, you're welcome. Both.
I would make a suggestion, Diana. I think on that, you know, as we talked about before, I don't think this would be a problem, but just to raise it, obviously no more than 2 of us can participate in that, I think, just to be on the safe side, because it's affordable housing and because, you know, it would be a quorum of us. But I really like the idea of at least one of us participating in the meetings as a liaison, so that we know what's going on and can participate. And I would also love to join just out of, you know, being a resident and, you know, citizen, and just wanting to see, you know, how that's unfolding. But I think that might be a good way, is to just stay in tune with that, so that, especially if we're thinking about signing on to it, obviously we want to be participating, which obviously you are. So I would kind of suggest it's already happening, that you are serving as a liaison between, you know, that advisory committee and our board. And then if I can jump on, you know, I'd love to.
Great.
I can make that work with my schedule.
Okay. Let me make a note.
Well, yeah, they'll continue on with your ideas and your program.
Okay, and then I guess the kind of related to that and the tier conversation is, you know, a very big need identified by CRC is housing for undocumented folks. So I don't know, you know, one thing that, and I did speak with Janet, who Fry, who specifically works on housing at CRC. You know, like, I don't know if you guys would be open to considering adding a tier for folks who are undocumented as a way of, you know, providing, you know, a resource to our community in a place where it's really needed.
I'm definitely open to that, Diana.
I mean, and she had a couple of notes. I took some notes on that call. Let's see. Sorry.
Okay. I'm doing a Zoom board meeting. So I don't know where mommy is. I think so.
Sabrina?
Oh, it was there. Oh, yeah. But I don't want you ringing the phone. So, well, I could.
I'm just going to re-up the agenda, Sabrina, since you just joined, so you have it in front of you, and also a link that I shared earlier, because I don't think it'll come up for you since you just joined.
Thank you.
Jen, item number 4 right now.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can't, for some reason, I can't put my finger on the notes. It might be on my other, on my laptop. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So yeah, I guess I wanted to, surface that as an idea, and, see what you guys think, and yeah.
Yeah, now that, I think that maybe just repeat the question so Sabrina's a little bit up to speed, Diana, and then we can maybe, since she's here, go back to the question of, signing on to the campaign, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, I was giving them an update on the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition, which is, that started by CRC in Washingtonville. And I told them, participating individually as myself, that we are working on a website, and on one of the pages, it says community partners. And there's several different religious organizations. I don't remember if it was St. Thomas or I can't keep them all straight, but and then there's CRC in Washingtonville. And so I was asking Barry and Melissa if they wanted to have the Housing Authority as a community partner. And so we weren't sure if that was allowed. So we were going to look into whether or not it was allowed, but we thought maybe off the top of your head.
I do not know.
Okay. Is that a question for Mr. Walker as well?
Maker, yes.
Baker, sorry, yeah. Maker, yeah. Okay, I will follow up with him on that as well. And then the other thing that I was asking them also related to this is, so a big need that has been identified by the CRC is, as they're working with, vulnerable populations is, there's a real dearth of housing for folks that are undocumented within our community. And so I was asking Melissa and Barry if they would, want to consider adding a tier to the Hummox housing for folks that are undocumented, to help, meet that need.
That's another lawyer question.
Okay. Well, I will, maybe I'll set up a call with him, just if I have instead of sending him a bunch of emails.
That's probably good, Diana, too, because you'll be able to explain the context a little bit better too.
Okay.
So he also came to a meeting before, I think either of you were, or maybe Melissa.
No, I was there. Yeah, when he talked about email with us. Yeah.
So you might even ask him if he wanted to, if you sent him a series of questions that you had, you might actually ask him to come and speak to all 3 of you simultaneously.
Okay.
I don't know if he would or wouldn't, but I it might be worth the ask because these are complicated questions.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. That was kind of it on my update. I would say, the coalition draft website should be done around Thanksgiving. And I think folks are looking at sort of a launch early in the year. So around January, because it'll just take a while to finalize everything. Yeah, it's not a nonprofit. It's not a political organization. It's a coalition. They were really thought that was important. So that's all the info I have.
I think that's enough info for now anyway. I think, Diana, and I think it's important to kind of to recognize what a coalition is, and it's not so much a commitment of time resources as just a show of support for the initiative itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That, and unless there are any other questions, that's sort of it on the update on the Marinec Affordable Housing Coalition.
Thanks, Diana. Yeah, no, and I'll definitely try and make the next one. I had a conflict last time, but try and catch up with you guys. So does anybody have anything else? There's nothing else on our formal agenda except to set our next meeting date. And, I guess we have a couple to dos. We'll get the minutes out, we'll review them. I guess the question is, do we want to try and have another meeting before the holidays? I mean, I think my inclination is yes, we have a couple things that we want to address just based on this meeting. If we want to, I don't think we need, it's already November, so just sort of one meeting between now and Christmas probably.
Well, didn't from where we left off on the budget, the only capital expense that we approved was the gas pipe issue.
Yeah.
But there's, we had that outstanding issue, one, needs to revise the budget with reflecting, the termination of the bond. And then two,
Yeah.
he was going to make that schedule.
That's right. Yeah, no, thanks for that.
5 years. So it probably, I think, we should try and get to that, I don't know, sooner rather than later. I have in my notes that we and I told the town that the next meeting would be Monday, November 16th.
Well, that's right. We had set that meeting and then we decided to have this one interim, right? So we should stick with that then. That makes sense.
So yeah, if it's okay with you guys, I already have, I've already sent them that information.
Great, thanks.
So that is already a placeholder. But I guess kind of question about that, and we did address it over email, but I just wanted to be sure. So the requirement is if we meet via Zoom that everyone has to be able to participate, but we can also host it ourselves too. So if we wanted to, we have to post the link to the meeting so that anyone who wants to join can join, but we don't necessarily have to do it through LMC. It's okay to say that because it does cost $150. So I guess I just wanted to ask you guys, we have, Rick had just been instructing me to do it this way. So I'm fine with whatever. I did want to surface that it's, we do have to pay for it, but it's, it's what we've become accustomed to. So, let me know how you want that to be set up and I can make that happen.
I mean, it's my feeling, Diana, I know there's a cost to it, but having it be officially done and run, by LMC makes sense to me just because it's a public meeting. Otherwise, one of us has to use our private Zoom link and then share that with everyone. And, it doesn't seem to be quite the right thing for a town board.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, unless you prefer to do it that way and you wanted to use your personal, but do other boards do that, Sabrina? I mean, I don't know what the standard is in the town for these types of meetings.
I think everybody's been using LMC. I'm not entirely certain, but in my knowledge that everybody's been using LMC.
Okay. Good to support community broadcasting as well.
Well, there you go. So
budget cuts too. So I bet that's appreciated too.
Yeah, and I think it's unusual that we'd meet twice in a month. So usually the cost is pretty minimal, I'd say, relative to the budget.
Okay, so I will set up the next meeting and you'll get the link directly from them. But just to be 1,000% sure, it's going to be Monday, November 16th at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom.
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right. Okay. I will get the minutes from today, prior to that. And I'll send in the approved minutes as well from today. Okay.
Great. Motion to conclude the meeting.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wait, no, I'm just looking back at this. Do you want me to see if the town lawyer can join us at that meeting, or do you want to do it a different time because you want to do the budget? What if I'm trying to set up a meeting with him?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think we can do it in the same meeting. What I'm gonna do as we set up the agendas to go forward, just to move things along, is to put kind of approximate time so we can kind of keep ourselves moving, so we don't get stuck on agenda items and have meetings that go on forever. But I think since we'll probably only meet once more before Christmas, if we can knock everything off the list, that would be good, because otherwise that pushes us into January. So I think we can do it all and just try and stay, time efficient and move through.
Yeah.
Yes, Sabrina?
I just ask, rather than call Bill and ask him to join the meeting, because the town has to keep track of, of his time and stuff, will you please call Steve Altieri, and who's the town administrator? Do you know Steve? Diane? Oh, he's lovely. And he's unbelievably competent, and he is amazing. But if you call Steve Altieri and ask if you can get some of Bill's time, I think that's probably the right procedure rather than.
Okay. Do you mind sending me his email address, Sabrina?
Do it.
Okay, so start
And I
with,
think we could, oh, sorry.
so start with Steve, get his permission. Once he gives his permission, go and work with the lawyer and see if that works for his schedule.
But
And another suggestion I would make to Diana is we can say that we'll, when you email Steve, is let him know that we'll have, Mr. Maker speak at 7:30 till 8 o'clock sort of thing. So he doesn't come and town's paying a half an hour of his time to sit and listen to us talk about other things.
He'll ask you what you want to talk about, what you want his time for. He may actually be an intermediary and set it up. I don't know exactly how he'll want to do it, but you should definitely either email him or give him a call.
I will ask.
Barry, did you have something?
yeah, I'd ask Steve the questions directly, and then he might have the answers, and you might not even need the attorney. Because Steve is pretty good at all the sides, the financial and the legal. He knows his stuff.
Just so you ladies know, Steve has been the town administrator for 35 years. He knows everything.
Because I asked him a question the other day at 8 o'clock, and he emailed me back the longest answer. So
No, that's good to know. Thanks, Sabrina.
just so you know, I wouldn't be scared of him or anything. I just start with him. That doesn't cost anything.
That's smart. Thanks, Barry. Yep, that's a good call.
Okay, so do you want me to ask the questions right now we have 3 outstanding questions. So do you want me to ask Steve first and see if he knows the answer, and then if he doesn't, if he can, if he would approve Mr. Maker joining our meeting for half an hour at 7:30 on the 16th, and then try and set that up. Okay.
And do you mind if you don't mind, Diana, just CCing me, because if he does get back with the actual answers, then we're all in the loop.
Well, so Sabrina, are we allowed to email him questions and copy everyone, or is that considered a meeting?
Emailing Steve questions?
Yeah.
No, questions of Steve.
But if I copy the other members, is that considered doing business via email?
I don't know.
All right. Well, if you feel uncomfortable, just do it between you and him, and then if it's an interesting answer,
Yeah, I think
you'll tell us the next time.
Right.
So.
I would suggest, if you don't mind, Diane, as chair, if you can just at least CC me and then I'm in the loop on it, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. I will do that as soon as I get his email address. Okay.
I think I have it too, Diana. I can just.
Okay.
I might actually be able to call it up right now and throw it in the chat. Give me 1 sec.
And then Melissa, I messaged Rob from LM while we were talking, and I said, are you guys able to do an executive session? Because you mentioned that. And he said, in order to do an executive session, we'd have to set some things up in advance, basically another Zoom meeting for you to hop into privately. So it does sound like that is a possibility if you did want to review applicants and not have their names be discussed publicly.
Okay, that's good to know.
So let me know if you want the next, got it. Okay, thanks. I guess let me know if you want any of the meetings to be set up with an executive session or not.
I think Barry's suggestion that we can not use names and just talk about the applicants, without using their names is a good suggestion, because we'll all have, the materials in front of us. So as long as we're careful not to disclose people's, identity, I think it's probably fine.
When the town board has executive session, if it's in the middle of one of our meetings, really just ask LMCTV, and Rob is listening in, to take you off the air
Okay, that's easier.
Executive session to discuss a particular thing, and then
Okay.
LMC will take you off the air and put you back on.
Oh, perfect. That's easier. Thanks, Sabrina.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I think I have all the stuff for the minutes.
Great.
Okay. So, and do you want me to, like, so for the meeting on the 16th, are we like expecting that Nuno will have the 5-year capital, like, do you want me
I'll
to?
email him to let him know we're expecting that. I'll CC you, Barry, as the treasurer on that
Okay,
one.
great. Okay.
I just thought of one other thing, Barry, I don't know if you've done a site visit to the hummocks and walked around the apartments, but that was something Melissa and I did, I guess it was pre-COVID, right?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it might be harder now. I mean, I don't think you can go in tenants apartments, obviously.
No, I thought about it when I was driving by to McDonald's yesterday.
Yeah, well, maybe when there's a vacancy, you know, it was very helpful. You know, we spent, I don't know, an hour with Nuno and Louis, and, you know, it just, when he's talking about, you know, the enclosure around, you know, the dumpster, it does help to kind of know where they are and have it in your mind. So
Okay.
it's certainly not required, but I personally, as a new member, found that to be a helpful exercise.
No, I appreciate, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. All right. I think I got it.
Maybe Barry, just you could reach out to Nuno directly to set that up and ask, you know, that Louis be there too, so you could meet him. I think that's helpful for us to get a sense.
Personal look at the gas pipes. Whatever.
Okay.
And now everything's covered by leaves. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we're right at 8:30. So if anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
I make, I'll second it.
Okay. All right, go team.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks.
All right, thanks to all of you. We'll see you in